All right, guys. Well, welcome in. We're 3 minutes past the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started and let folks continue to trickle in. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Goodnow. I'm the VP of Programming for AMA Boston, and I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm joined by our two rock star speakers who you see here in the screen in front of you, Jen Faucon and Huang. We're going to be talking about NFTs, what they are, what the buzz around them is, how marketers can be using them effectively. So we have a really great event lined up for you all tonight. Before we jump in, just wanted to go over a few housekeeping things with everyone. For some of you, this might be your first AMA Boston event. I know we had somebody in the chat say they're from Austin, so go Longhorns, and welcome in if you're from across the country, and thanks for joining us tonight. If you're not familiar with our chapter, AMA Boston is the networking educational hub for all New England marketers. We cover the entire New England area, not just Boston, as our name suggests, so we have quite a large community. If you're interested in learning about how you can get involved with the chapter a little bit more, we have a lot of really great volunteer opportunities across all of our teams in the chapter. Maybe you're looking to add a new skill to your resume, or maybe you're looking to just build your network and connect with like-minded marketers. Volunteering is a great way to do that and to get involved. So if you're interested in learning more and hearing about those opportunities, feel free to connect with myself or one of our board members. We have multiple board members on the call tonight. They'll be introducing themselves in the chat, so feel free to check that out and connect with them if you're interested in learning more. We also have opportunities to join our chapter too. We have a lot of really great member benefits in different tiers of pricing. As you'll see here on the screen, we have student membership rates, we have group membership rates, and a lot of really great member benefits as well. Things like AMA Boston member only events. We have our first coming up in the spring. Actually, it's going to be an event on DEI, and we're going to be partnering with a few other chapters from across the country, AMA Triangle in the North Carolina region, and AMA Nashville, and a few others as well on the topic of DEI. So that's a great opportunity to connect with other chapter members from across the country, and also talk about a really important topic and subject in a forum that's going to be welcoming and inclusive for all. So things like that, member events. Also, we have a lot of really great resources for our members on our website, and a lot of other really great member benefits. So if you're interested in learning more about that, again, connect with myself or one of the board members you'll see on the call in the chat tonight. Real quick, you'll see our event agenda here on the left. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Please keep your mics muted unless given the opportunity to speak. We want to just avoid as much audio disruption as possible. If you have any questions that pop up for our speakers throughout the duration of the event, feel free to just add those in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the event, so we'll get to those. We're going to have time built in for Q&A at the end as well. So if you want to hold off and ask those at the end, feel free to do that as well. This event is being recorded, so we will get this distributed to everyone that signed up tonight via email in the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. If you want to take photos, videos, any social media posts you'd like to put out, we love to see your stuff, so feel free to include that on your profiles and use the hashtag AMA Boston so that we can find you. One other really cool thing that's not mentioned here, and Lee will chat a little bit more about it, but everybody that is in the room tonight will be receiving a custom AMA POAP NFT that we've created. So we'll be sharing a little bit more about that and instructions on how you can claim that NFT for yourself shortly. And before I hand it off to our speakers, wanted to just share with everyone a quick video on what NFTs are, a quick 60-second kind of about what they are, to give everyone an overview before we start tonight's discussion. So I'll go ahead and play that now. right, so hopefully that provided a little background and color into kind of what NFTs are from a really high overview. All right, and without further ado, I wanted to introduce tonight's speakers, Jen Faucon and Huang. Jen, I'll hand the mic off to you.
Thanks, Chris. I'm actually going to let Lee do most of the discussion tonight as the expert on NFTs. Thank you, AMA Boston, for having Lee and me again for our second fireside chat on new technology and innovation. Our first session was all the way back in 2020 on augmented reality. It feels like a decade ago, but Lee always comes forward and called and said, I really want to start to talk to AMA Boston about NFTs because it's the space you really need to be aware of. So we're going to talk about the rapid advancements of NFTs and how they're affecting you and me as marketers and our brands and our clients. NFTs are really reshaping brand marketing, and they're helping companies tackle the challenges faced in this area of what I'll call digital consumerism. NFTs really combine like authenticity, uniqueness, novelty that can really help brands build a distinguished identity in the marketplace. So from a marketer's perspective, we always got to keep on top of what's happening, but also how do they affect brand and what you're doing as you're going to market. So let me formally introduce my friend and former colleague, Lee. He's New York based. We won't hold that against him. As Boston folks, we always have to make that joke as we start, Lee, don't we? He's always right in the thick of developing and advancing new technologies for brands. He's both a digital strategist, but he's also a product innovation leader. And he has expertise in creating award-winning customer experiences and accelerating deployment of new technologies. And his work includes a long list of really famous top-notch brands, just a few of them: NBC Universal, Barnes & Noble, Amazon Studios, and Nielsen Media. So it's always good to have you here, Lee. I'm going to hand it over to you. I know we're going to learn a ton tonight, and then we'll have time to chat together and get questions from our great attendees. So over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jen. Well, as you and Chris both know, although I'm a native New Yorker, growing up, I was actually a Boston Red Sox fan and not a New York Yankees fan. So I actually have some Boston blood in me. So I'm so happy that all of you can join us this evening, and big thanks to Chris, Jen, and the AMA Boston team for inviting me back. It's always nice to be asked back, so appreciate that. As Chris mentioned, by attending this event, you'll receive a complimentary AMA Boston NFT commemorating your attendance at this event. And the reason that we wanted to do this is because, our belief is that many of you may be new to NFTs and you may not have one. So we wanted to create one for you so you can really get some hands-on experience with it. So I'll be talking a little bit more about how you get that later. In addition, there will be one lucky winner who will win an NFT from the collection of Pookie Media, who's an award-winning digital artist. So we'll have one winner for, if you will, a really nicely designed NFT. So, so we're excited to do that. So Chris, let's jump into things with a fun poll to get things started. So, so here's an NFT. It's a piece of digital art that was sold in 2021. Chris, can you put up a poll asking the audience how much they think this NFT, which is just a PNG file, sold for? Okay. This piece of digital art is part of a 10,000 piece collection where each face has distinct features and also captures the punk culture in the 90s. So no two are alike, and it's only a 24 by 24 pixel image. Okay. So if you guys can put in how much you think it sold for. Okay.
We have a few more seconds here, and then I'll close up the poll.
Okay.
All right, we have a good mix here. Let's end the poll and share the results.
Okay. All right, about 33%. Okay, terrific. So, all right. So, Chris, you want to reveal the price? So this NFT is CryptoPunk number 8857 from Larva Labs, and it sold for $6,630,000 in 2021. It was initially put on sale in 2017. And again, this is just a a PNG file. Okay, next. Here is another CryptoPunk from that collection. Take a quick second. Take a guess in your own mind what you think this is. Chris? So this one, CryptoPunk 5822, sold for over 23 million earlier this year. Next. So some of you may have seen this. This was the top selling NFT of 2021 and is called the first 5,000 days from the digital artist people. This digital image was a giant collage, as you can see, of over 5,000 images that people started creating back in May of 2007. It's basically 13 and a half years of images that he collected every day. So this was sold at Christie's for over $69 million. Okay, next. So, I mean, these are the numbers that you've probably seen in the headlines, and obviously the NFT industry and marketplace it's been tremendous growth in 2021 and continuing into 22. And it's been propelled a lot by celebrities, athletes, and companies jumping in. Some of these folks have, simply purchased, really expensive NFTs. Others have launched their own dedicated platforms. Others have launched entire businesses around it. So they've really paved the way for NFTs to break into the mainstream. Paris Hilton, right? Queen of pop culture, entrepreneur. She launched her own NFT collection in early 2021. And this NFT, her iconic crypto queen, sold for 1.1 million. And she actually created her first NFT back in 2019 and sold it for charity and won the best charity NFT award. So, and she's continued to expand her NFT empire since then. Steph Curry, after breaking the NBA record for most three-pointers in a career, he launched a collection called the 2974 collection, where every one of his 2,974 three-point shots got an NFT. So they were individually numbered. Most of these NFTs were sold at $499. He reserved a couple where he didn't put on the market, but he saved them for folks, friends, and family who helped him in his career. This collection sold out in less than 2 minutes. And NFT number 2974, which was his record-breaking shot, that NFT went up for auction, and for a 72-hour auction, it sold for $1 million. Pretty good. Pixar, some of you may have read this. They launched their Pixar Pals collection just earlier this month and sold out within 24 hours, brought in probably about $3 million in sales. And, they had all of our favorites, from Woody to Lightning McQueen to Mikey. But the approach that they took is they sold these NFTs as blind boxes, which means that anyone who bought a PixelPal NFT, they didn't actually know what they were getting until they paid their $60 for it. Okay, so it's sort of like a surprise based on what they opened, and that was a strategy that they took. And so collectors, right, could buy as many of these blind boxes as they wanted, and then immediately sell them on the secondary market. So immediately those prices went sky high. So they may have bought it for $60 and immediately turned it around and flipped it for $400, $500, $600, or $1,000. So again, there's a big secondary market for these, where investors, if you will, they're there to immediately flip it and make some money. Snoop Dogg is, if you just Google him, he is the man who's changing the NFT world. But if we look back from where he started, his first NFT sale was April of last year. And in his collection, one of his pieces of art was called Death Row and sold for $100,000. Then in February of this year, right, just last month, he had a new NFT collection called Stash Boxes, which he sold over $44 million in under a week. And for that launch, he had 25,000 NFTs at $5,000 each. So again, at the end of the week, he sold 44 million, Since then, he sold more, so he's actually made more than 44 million, with sort of a cap of about 120, I think, if you do the math. Just astronomical numbers, but again, with the influx of these folks, this is where the market has gone. Okay, next, Chris. So thanks to all of these trends, right, that are sort of taking place concurrently now, with digital images becoming a major investment bet, you know, the involvement of celebrities and athletes and legacy auction houses selling, you know, digital artwork. There was $23 billion in trading volume in 2021 when it was only 100 million the previous year, right? Just tremendous growth. So a lot of people think of 2021 as the, you know, the year of the NFT, and we'll see where things go. But just from a, you know, from where it was and where it is now, it's pretty incredible. So NFTs, you know, they allow buyers to support their, you know, favorite artists or new artists that they've discovered, make a smart investment. But part of the allure of buying NFTs is also that you get bragging rights, right? You're like, well, I've got this cool NFT and you don't, right? You get bragging rights. But also for any NFT, you know, whether it's $1 million or free, what it does is it makes you part of a community. And that's definitely part of the appeal. So the community aspect is also sort of a key underlying theme from a marketer perspective. That'll be kind of a theme throughout NFT activities. So before we go any further, just a quick overview, not a deep dive at all. And you saw some of this in the opening video, but I thought it would be worth just going over a few key terms and concepts without getting into, you know, too many technical or gory details. So NFT, that acronym stands for non-fungible token. So let's start with the word fungible, right? What does fungible mean? So if something is fungible, it can be replaced by another identical item of equal value. So a US dollar is fungible because it's equivalent to 4 quarters, you know, 10 dimes, 20 nickels. So it's fungible. Non-fungible, i.e. an NFT, means that the asset is original, unique, and it cannot be replaced. So Monet's watercolors, right? That is non-fungible. CryptoPunk 8857, we looked at before, that is non-fungible because it is unique. Now, true, you can take screenshots of it, you know, just like you could take, you know, buy a poster of the Mona Lisa, but from a ownership perspective, it is unique. And that goes into the next word, token. So token in NFT reflects a digital certificate of ownership. And this token is basically a verification of the authenticity, right? The originality of the asset that you've purchased, and it exists on the blockchain. So what's the blockchain? So the blockchain is basically a shared public ledger of digital information and transactions that is unchangeable and immutable and tamper-proof. And that's part of the allure of it, which is the security. The blockchain, from a technical perspective, is also very unique because it's decentralized, which means that all of the processing and storage is distributed and duplicated across an entire network of computer systems. It's not stored in just a single place, and it's not controlled by any one entity, again, which is one of the great things about it. There isn't one company that owns this, that if they go belly up or suddenly, you know, raise their rates, you're doomed. There is no one controlling factor because this is a decentralized architecture. And NFTs are, again, they are traded on the blockchain. So there are many different blockchains, but at the end of the day, the most popular one for selling NFTs is the Ethereum blockchain, okay? And we'll mention the word Ethereum quite a bit, and again, you may already be aware of it. The other thing about NFTs, again, which are digital assets, is that they can, you know, contain really anything that's digital. So it could be a drawing, it could be an animated GIF, it could be a video, it could be a song. And when you sell an NFT, you as the creator can determine when you sell it whether it's one of a kind, which means it's truly exclusive, or if you want to sell one of 10 copies or 50 copies, kind of like trading cards. So if something is exclusive, conceptually it would be more expensive than one that is part of, that's been minted is the term multiple times. And all of the ownership of sales and transfers is on the blockchain for people to see. Okay, next. So you have these assets here. Now, if you want to buy one, right, or to sell it, you have to have some cryptocurrency. So there are many different types of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is the one that's probably mentioned the most. But again, with NFTs, Ethereum is the usually the cryptocurrency of choice. It has, so when you buy an NFT, it would be with a cryptocurrency, not with US dollars. So you have to convert your US dollars and go through an exchange rate. So on 3/29, a couple of days ago, 1 ETH or Ethereum equaled $3,456. Okay. Today, when I checked around 1:30, it was $3,293 per ETH. So it had gone down. But the point is that the ETH fluctuates, i.e. therefore the different NFTs and the different assets. And when you buy Ethereum, and there are different methods to do that, you would store your cryptocurrency in a digital wallet. And MetaMask is one of the most popular that is available. There are several, but that one is quite popular with selling NFTs. And with each digital wallet, you get an address that's uniquely yours, and that's where you can transact. So now you have your NFTs, you have your wallet, you have your cryptocurrency. There are many different marketplaces and platforms where you can sell sell and buy NFTs. So OpenSea is one of the most popular. Many people think of it as the eBay for NFTs. And many of the most notable NFT projects, such as CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club, were sold there. Just a couple of stats, just to give you a general sense as to size. It's estimated that in January of this year, OpenSea had over 1 million active user wallets, up from just a few thousand in March of 2020. So over 1 million. And the company also did $365 million in revenue, which are really from transaction fees, and had a market cap of $13 billion. And another platform is called Suite, and they are a leader in providing NFT marketplace and solutions for large brands. So Macy's, the New York Knicks, McLaren Racing. Many of you saw the Kia RoboDog commercial during the Super Bowl. Those are all on the Suite platform and marketplace. But there are many of these, but these are two of the leaders at this time. Now, so a lot of that was sort of, the rage was about investment, right? Investing and speculating. But really, where things have already evolved to are what's called utility NFTs. And this is really where it gets exciting for marketers, for organizations and companies of all sizes, big, medium, small, in all industries. And so a utility NFT is an NFT that you produce and sell that is much more than just owning a collectible. Okay, it assigns a use, a function to the digital asset outside of just owning a piece of artwork. So a utility NFT provides solid real world value by offering more value because it delivers, there's purpose to it, application to it, and it creates much more engaging user experiences. And the term unlockable content, okay, is one that if you're not already familiar with, should be part of your vernacular, because that is, you know, often referred to as creating the additional value for an NFT. And some people, you know, they'll think of like an unlockable NFT as similar to bonus content that a media company might offer. And it also has connections in terms of, again, new value to the physical world and also in real life. So it really brings the virtual and the physical together. And it can really, this can really become part of your brand's ecosystem. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these examples of exactly then how can a utility NFT help all of you and inspire you and really innovate. So one would be, you know, if you purchase an NFT, maybe it includes exclusive membership. Oh, not yet, Chris. Yeah, thanks. It could be membership, or by buying an NFT, you get VIP experiences and, you know, behind the scenes access to events. Or you buy an NFT and it allows you to participate in an exclusive contest to win some amazing prizes. And it's also a doorway into the metaverse. And none of these are mutually exclusive, right? And so when I go through some of these examples, you may have within your organization access to many of these, utilities, or a few, but these are things to really, again, enhance the value of an NFT. Next, please, Chris. All right, so let's take a look at Clinique. Okay, so Clinique, their strategy was to have a contest. So they unveiled their limited edition NFT, which they called Meta Optimist. And what this is this is a conceptual molecule that represents some of their colors and products. But for this initiative, they didn't sell this NFT or have an auction, right? Their marketing and brand goal was to use this NFT to increase loyalty and to strengthen ties to their products. So to accomplish this, they ran a contest, right? Where they gave away 3 NFTs and other prizes to members of their loyalty program called Smart Rewards. And so contestants, right, they entered to win by sharing a story of optimism and hope. They'd have to put it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok with specific hashtags. And there were 3 winners, and the winners received NFT artwork, 3 physical products for 10 years that were delivered annually, pretty good. And also they would receive Black Honey, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently it's super hot and always out of stock, so very sought after. And in addition, they also added some Hollywood glitz by having Emilia Clarke of Game of Thrones fame announce the winner on social, right? So again, if you look at this, by having this NFT, they built an entire engagement experience and also tied in physical, social media, a celebrity. And so, you know, a lot of elements here of which, again, you know, organizations can, follow suit on. Next. Next would be the example would be the NBA, which, you know, really designed this NFT, this utility NFT for really their ultimate fans. They created one of one exclusive NFT for each of the league's 30 teams. And as they put it, and this is front and center on, you know, on their website, it provides owners with unprecedented utility. So utility, again, is a term that's already, you know, it's getting out there as sort of a standard term. And they sold these, these 30 VIP experience NFTs through auction. And the final one actually ended maybe an hour or so ago, which was for the New York Knicks. And the last bid I saw this morning was $42,000 for it. And what you got for this NBA All-Star VIP NFT pass was for 5 years, for the next 5 years, starting from 2023 through 2027. You can go to all the NBA All-Star weekends. You would attend all the contests, right? The slam dunk, three-point shooting, you'd have meet and greets, you'd shoot around with an NBA legend, go to an exclusive NBA reception, you got all the cool merch, VIP merch bag, and all-star jersey. Behind the scenes, you got tours of the arena, the executive offices, on-the-court photos, and a whole bunch of stuff, right? Which is really pretty cool, right? If you are a big NBA All-Star fan. So this was, again, an auction that just ended, and you can take a look at it. They really put a lot into this. So this is pretty cool. Next is membership, right? So by buying an NFT, you get membership and exclusive access to something. And Fly Fish Club is the world's first members only private dining club where membership is purchased as an NFT. This is a restaurant in New York City. It'll be opening in 2023. And basically by buying this NFT, you gain access to the restaurant and various, culinary and different social experiences. And you can see here, this is just from their website, where their what their 2 tiers of membership offer. You have the first tier, which allows you to access, go, make reservations, eat there, go to the outdoor lounge, the cocktail lounge. But if you want to pony up a little bit more money, you get, some more NFTs and also access to their very exclusive omakase room. Now, by buying this, you get access, but there are still rules, right? So an owner, they still have to make a reservation, right? 14 days in advance. They still have to pay money for their meal in US dollars. But one of the really interesting things about what they're doing, and this is what makes utility NFTs in the future so interesting, is that these NFT tokens are leasable, okay? Which means that Flyfish allows the owner of a NFT to lease that NFT to go to the restaurant to other people on a monthly basis. They can lease it. So this turns this asset into a recurring revenue stream, passive, right? And a potential cash cow. So if you bought this Flyfish token, let's say for 2.5 ETH, and that's worth $6,000. Well, if you leased it out to an executive or a foodie for $1,000 a month, you're going to recoup that pretty quickly. So again, very exciting. Now, Flyfish, they raised over $14 million in a week, and obviously not everybody can do that. And one of the reasons they've been able to do that is because Gary Vaynerchuk is one of the founders and creators, and he's got obviously millions of followers. But the concept of membership, access due to an NFT, and this paradigm, and of course the leasing, is something again that you can think about and apply as necessary or as appropriate to your organization. And another way is that NFTs are a doorway into the metaverse. So there are, NFTs are integrated into many of the metaverses, which are based on the blockchain. Like Decentraland is one, which is getting a lot of press these days, which many of you are probably aware of. But one of the things is, organizations like Sotheby's or gallery owners or people who want to show off their NFTs are showing them off in virtual museums. Sotheby's created a replica of their headquarters where you can go in, right? You're an avatar in the virtual world, and you can look at and appreciate all of the different NFTs. You can purchase them. So a lot of ways to show off, another channel to show off your NFTs and to gain some eyeballs, some fans, hopefully make some money. For Sotheby's, they had said what really inspired them to really jump, completely into the metaverse and NFTs was when in April of 2021, their first NFT sale was for an artist that brought in 17 million. So with that, they're like, we get it. And they also, got the demand from the collector side as well as the artist side. And obviously they're, trying to bridge the gap between the physical and the digital. And the other area that's also a lot of fun is wearables. So when you create an NFT, it can be a wearable, which means that a wearable NFT is basically a piece of virtual clothing or digital accessory, like a dress or a shirt or sunglasses, or in this example here, you've got some green socks and some slippers. It could be a jacket, these spider earrings. These are NFTs that people can buy and use them to dress up their avatars in a virtual world. So they actually have real function, just like you would go to, a store and buy a physical jacket. You can buy a digital NFT jacket, wear it and show it off. And these are all obviously authenticated because it's NFT, it's on the blockchain. And, I'm not the biggest gamer by any means, so this doesn't really mean much to me, but there are obviously huge audiences of gamers, of people who are getting into this, that want to dress up, that want to show their personality, just like they're in the physical world. And in the virtual, you also have endless creativity, right? So you're designing fashion, you're not, held back by anything. So you could have materials like, water or fire or smoke coming out, all different things. And this has garnered a lot of interest. So, Adidas and Nike, have jumped in. You've got like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and D&G who have fashion shows and selling, again, digital wearables. So it's an exciting time. And then Vogue, as interestingly, they actually had they put digital fashion NFTs on the cover of their Singapore issue, which again got a lot of interest and excitement. So this is a way that you can also get in. And I think, Jen, we may talk a little bit about the metaverse a little bit later. But again, this is another area where utility NFTs come into play. Okay, so I think as we start to wrap up, we've covered a lot. And I know one of the things that Jen and Chris and I wanted to really stress is that NFTs can be for organizations of all sizes in all industry. Okay, it could be a one-person shop. Everybody can get in and gain some value from it to benefit themselves and their business. So I thought I would just use Pookie Media as a example to kind of walk through the process. Again, Pookie Media is the one that will be gifting one NFT from her collection. So for her and for you, right, a starting point, again, if you're new to this, is to think about like what assets you have and then grouping them into collections. And so for her, she's been in the virtual world for a long time. She had a collection for fashion, which is that top row. So she had a lot of images of different gowns and outfits. The second row is a collection of headshots of how her avatar has evolved over the years. And then she's had collections with digital art and some of the machinima films that she created. But you group them into collections. And then for each asset, you also have to give it a name and a description, price, all the metadata. But again, you have to put it together, but to put it in is fairly straightforward on like OpenSea as an example. For unlockable content, again, which is really core these days, She set it up so that anybody who purchases her NFT gets a 1-hour call or Zoom meeting with her to discuss, for example, like how to dress your avatar or how to become fashion forward in the virtual world. So 60-minute consult, and it also includes various perks for future shows and also a certificate of ownership. Now, obviously, there's the digital certificate of ownership on blockchain, but what organizations are starting to do is to also give out a physical certificate, right? Because who doesn't like physical, frankly? So, so what she's offering is, if you'd like, you can receive a physical certificate by mail or as a PDF via email. Had to set up a crypto wallet, right, which we've talked about, put it in a marketplace, and then so everyone's aware there are different fees for different platforms. They will have their own transaction fees, right, which makes sense. So OpenSea or any platform will, if you're using their platform, you put something on sale or perform a certain type of transaction, there's a fee. But there's also something called gas fees, okay, which is a new concept that really didn't exist until now. And so you can read about it, but gas fees are fluctuate and are fees that you have to pay for miners who are basically completing tasks on the blockchain across all the different computers, okay? So I'm not going to get into it, but you just need to be aware that gas fees fluctuate and is a cost that you need to be aware of and potentially plan for. Okay. All right. So so just to wrap up, so for this NFT badge, which we will be providing for all of the attendees tonight, and I really encourage you to get one. If you haven't done it, if you don't have a MetaMask wallet or anything, zero, this is a great way to get started. And for those who already have NFTs, then this is a really good collectible, and you probably know there are actually collectors out there who collect event badges. This term POAP stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol, and it's a hot thing, which is events give out POAP badges as authentication and recognition for those who have attended. So for collectors and attendees, they get an NFT, put in their collection, they can show it off. For a marketer, they can also then say, hey, if you have this POAP, that means you attended this event. I'm going to give you a discount or some perk in the future. Okay, so for MA Boston, I think this is the first one that's being done. So again, the scoop is ahead of the game with Chris and Jen. And so each of you who's attended, you'll receive a personal email with a link in it that's just for you, with instructions on how to, get a wallet, if you don't have one, etc. This is completely free. Okay, there is no gas fee, there's no transaction fee. This is just completely free. So sometime next week, you'll get an email with all the details. As I mentioned, we're going to have a giveaway. We will, for those of you who claim your POAP badge, we'll pick a winner from that group, because we'll again have your wallet information. And again, if you have any questions about any NFT projects or digital initiatives, you can feel free to give me a call or email me. Happy to help out on in any way that I can.
That's awesome, Lee. I love that you provided everybody with a POAP, because we really want to make sure that when we're learning new things with AMA Boston, we're giving people the opportunity to really engage with it and take the next step and really experience it. So we love that. So let's take the time that we have left, Lee, and talk about a few overarching things, since you've covered a lot in detail. I mean, the first big question that I have is, clearly the whole NFT industry has exploded and it feels like it's at its peak. Do you think that it's now past its peak and become this passing fad, or do you think it's really utility that's going to take it over and continue to grow?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the top questions right now as it relates to investing in digital art and collectibles. There's already concern, right? And also data that we may be entering a bubble, or perhaps we're already in it. So those data points are coming out. Some ones that I just read recently is to indicate that, there is some softness, is that, daily sales volume has declined by over 50% since the beginning of the year. Average sales price of an NFT is now below $2,000, which is down from $6,800 in January. A Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, which is like very popular and expensive, like CryptoPunk. There was a sale recently at $224,000, a huge amount of money, but that represented a $68,000 loss for the seller who just bought it at the end of January. So again, that's sort of some of the trends currently, and factors for this, oversaturated market is certainly, a possibility or a factor, the inflation. And I think the other are scams. I think with scams and theft, that's also some more headlines there that may, again, be impacting some buyers. One could make an analogy, perhaps, right? I mean, history will tell, but it might make an analogy or say, hey, is this similar to the .com bubble, right? Where certain companies overvalued, they came down, some disappeared, but the ones with staying value or staying power survived. But regardless of the organizations, the internet, the web infrastructure, the digital experiences and innovation, obviously that thrived exponentially and has expanded to what it is today. So if you think about that from an NFT perspective, I am super optimistic about utility NFTs, right? They're here to stay, because not only do they bring, as we've talked about, tremendous value, but it's also based on a decentralized technology, which is at the foundation. So I think there are some analogies to the growth of the web through Web 1 and Web 2. So I think there's definitely staying power for utility NFTs.
Very interesting. I love that you showed and talked about the Kia examples, because at our last AMA event, we talked about the Super Bowl ad, and Kia did their electric vehicle ad, and then now they're doing NFTs around that robotic dog. Talk a little bit about how marketers should consider using NFTs, how they could incorporate them, and kind of the process that marketers should think about before they forge ahead.
Yeah, I think, again, if we think of sort of, let's say, the term NFT 1.0, right, which was built a lot on FOMO, right, kind of fear of missing out. There was scarcity, right? There was all the headlines, the big dollars, price appreciation. And if we think about this NFT 2.0, which is about value, utility, innovation, and at the end of the day, it's about storytelling and engagement, right? This is really what it is. If you think about those four sort of case studies that we went through. So I think for marketers, it's really expanding your arsenal and your toolkit and your ecosystem to do what you do best, which is really to kind of keep the customer experience, right? What do they want? How can you deliver it in a new way, in a new, exciting way? And so I think as long as marketers, all of you, continue, right, which you will, to think of customers at the center of their strategy, I think that's a great sort of, North Star to continue to follow. The fact that NFTs allow for ownership is obviously a very new concept, right? It never really existed before in this manner. So I think there's, as we've seen, tremendous opportunities. The technology will also evolve that will open up new ways to increase the value of ownership into, again, experiences, exclusives, that'll drive engagement and loyalty. So I think it's, again, if you're a big or small company, think about the assets in the most broadest terms, right, that you have in your ecosystem that will appeal to customers, and craft utility NFTs that will unlock them. The last thing is that there are, NFT terms, there are some unique marketing techniques that are becoming fairly standard. So there is a new world of reach that needs to be understood and learned and sort of fine-tuned. It is still all the Wild West, but again, just making sure you're kind of in there, using terminology, engaging with this community And it's a great way to attract new customers and new eyeballs, but there are certainly, vernacular and certain ways that the community interacts for you to, participate in.
Absolutely. Now, you're also doing some really cool work right now in the metaverse and virtual worlds. Can you tell us a little bit about your project and the relevance to NFTs?
Yeah, So so most of the experience that I've got in virtual worlds is with Second Life, and I've worked on projects with virtual fashion shows and dating shows, and currently I'm working on a really unique musical which combines avatars, virtual worlds, and real life actors. So it's a lot of fun. Second Life, some of you may know, it's really the original metaverse. It was created in 2003, and it's got its own currency and economy. Okay, so it's like sort of the grandfather of metaverses. Now, it's made a comeback recently, but it's not built on the blockchain. Okay, so there are no NFTs. So for me and the team, we're working on this show, and we got these assets of these shows that we've done in the past that we're thinking about porting them over to Decentraland, right? Obviously, as sort of a leading platform. So Decentraland, again, it's blockchain. NFTs are core to it, as we said. Sotheby's, all those galleries, all those retailers, they're all in Decentraland. You may see stories about how expensive land is in Decentraland. So there's a lot of buzz, a lot of dollars, a lot of companies jumping in. I do want to just share with the group right now to help set expectations, right? Because there's one thing about generating buzz. There's another thing about really reaching customers and making sales. So aside from the buzz and the great press, right now, reported is that in January of this year, Decentraland had estimated 18,000 daily users. Not a big number, right, for all the dollars that seem to be being thrown around. So not that it won't necessarily grow, right, because we're sure it will, but as of right now, it's not a lot of people, and how fast or slow will the growth be? So I think that's something for people to consider, marketers, all of you to consider, if you're thinking about jumping into Decentraland in a big way, right? You can obviously kind of do a collectible here, but if you're really thinking about making an investment, you really want to make sure that there is an audience in there. Because right now, for those of you who have tried virtual worlds, what happens a lot is you'll log in, and your first thing when your avatar appears is, what do I do? That's like you look around, because it's not a game, right? You can play games in these virtual worlds, but they're not games. They're real world, just like the physical. So I think it's just really important to, when you're in, make sure you have a really well thought out experience for them. And then, obviously NFTs will all be there, but I think even before NFTs for metaverses, you really want to make sure that what you're going to get out of it or when.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. I know we only have a few minutes left, and as you've been going through, you've been answering a lot of the questions in the chat. But one of the big ones that came up earlier from one of our audience members is, how easy is it to create these things? Does it cost a lot? Tell us a little bit about that, because the point of entry and doing
Sure.
it right is always important.
Yeah. So the good news is that anybody can get started. Okay. So the first thing is your asset, right? Which again could be your JPEG, right? Yeah, it could be a PNG file. Okay, it could be any asset that you have on OpenSea. I'll use that as an example. Your asset just has to be under 100 meg. Okay, so on OpenSea, again, you would have your crypto wallet set up, let's say through MetaMask. You open up OpenSea, and you basically just go to a quote an NFT create page. Yeah, you put in, you upload your JPEG file, you put in name, description, and you can save it, and it'll be available on OpenSea. No cost at that point. Okay, so you can create your entire collection. So for Pookie Media, right, we had 122 items in 5 collections, set it all up. we were able to, show friends and family, free, not a cent. When you pay, the initial time is when you put your first item on sale. Okay, so this is it's a one-time fee. There's a fee for putting your first item on sale and a second small one-time fee. And that fee is a gas fee and depends on, again, the exchange rate at that time. So a lot of people will try to do it at night during off hours. So instead of paying $200 at 1 p.m. in the afternoon when it's busy, you pay $50 at night. But after that, you can put all of your other NFTs for sale. Okay, and then there are some, if you sell, if they buy a direct price, it will be paid by the seller. If you do an auction, you pay. And then there are weird things like if you want to cancel it, you pay a gas fee. So bottom line is there's a variety of fees, but to get started is really just like a one-time fee for some gas. And other than that, you can put up 100 or 1,000.
And the rest is your time and your creativity. And I'll tell you, follow some of these folks on Twitter. These artists are unbelievable. What they're doing in the art space. I mean, everybody's parents said, don't go into art because they won't make any money. Well, now people are not working for agencies. They are going and creating their own art. But Lee, we're so grateful for your time. We're going to start to wrap up. I would just be remiss if as AMA Boston, we didn't spend the last minute talking about some of the great stuff that's happening in the Boston market. Of course, we have huge brands like Reebok who have been in this NFT space. And last year they started doing limited edition footwear. Julian Edelman, of course, all of our sports guys are going to step into this space and start to do their own comic-inspired NFTs. And just this last month, NFTs have been changing the Boston nightlife scene. We had some NFT DJs that have been all over the place. So I think there's some really interesting activities, but also agencies popping up that do marketing exclusively for NFTs, that are doing the technical behind it. And if you've got time, go down to Newbury Street and you can flip that last page, Chris. We're going to close out with a video. Pellis Gallery on Newbury Street has launched its first ever all NFT exhibit. You can go and check out what the artwork looks like, create that experience, be a part of it, and just begin to watch the space of how Boston's starting to lead in this area. So I want to thank AMA Boston. I want to thank Lee for another great event, and for everybody who's joined us across Boston and around the country. And I think I got a couple of friends from around the globe. We thank you for coming tonight, and we'll see you at the next AMA event.
So proud to be here for the first NFT show in